Your opinion on where OG stand. LD was thinking that they still have solidified their invite, even with going out into the 4th place position. What do you think about that? And what are your thoughts now on VG Gaming Reborn? Do they still need to kind of get a 1st place finish to get their own invite?
Yeah, I think they do. And I broke this down right before the tournament in a video. And I said I felt that as things stand, the top 8 teams at Shanghai would be the ones getting the direct invites to Manila. Now that OG, however, is out of the field, I think one of those bids is going to be gone. Because I think one of the 3 teams that wins this tournament that otherwise would not have been a direct invite is going to steal one of those bids. And when you're OG and your Alliance, you're looking at this as next week, you want Complexity and Fnatic to do well at ESL 1 Manila. Because if one of those teams falter, if those teams do well and win the tournament, then you're fine. Otherwise, you're hoping one of those teams falters really badly, because another bid is going to get taken off the table if upsets occur there next week. It's a really fascinating picture going forward. We have a lot of Dota yet to be played.
It's like, what if China wins here and eHome wins at Manila?
Exactly.
Like, then, you know, maybe China's back or something, and then they can have 2 potential invites. That's like what everybody's talking about the most. How many spots do they deserve? And if they can show themselves here with these 2, I think it's going to be very hard for, you know, Western teams to say, like, well, you had your opportunity, especially against these Chinese teams now, and so they might deserve an invite.
I don't mean to throw in a bit of a curveball, but you got to. What do you consider at all the fact that Alliance had won the previous Star Ladder? It did come after the invites for the Manila major, but is that just too far long ago to consider?
Well, that's the problem. We're going to find out a great many things about Valve and about what their criteria really are, because we don't have automatic invites. We don't even really have a published list of formal criteria.
Here's the list. Actually, I have it right here.
There you go. Blank paper, right?
Right there.
Forehead. No, the problem is, right, that we don't know, for example, how it's going to be weighted that Alliance is the only team to win 2 major LANs versus the fact that OG still have that Frankfurt Major Championship under their belt. We're going to see how these various factors are weighted when the Manila invites come out. And that last series was a big element. There's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of argument.
It's going to be pretty ridiculous here. But let's get back to the matter at hand, gentlemen. It's Na'Vi versus LGD. Let's go ahead, and now that we heard from LGD, we actually have an interview right now with the one and only Dendy. Let's see what he feels about going up against LGD again.
Всем привет! Сегодня перед матчем Na'Vi LGD мне удалось поговорить немножечко с Дэнди. Привет, Даня, как дела?
Отлично, спасибо.
Скажи мне, вы с командой смотрели сегодняшние игры?
Да, мы смотрели. Вот, было очень интересно, занимательно.
Можете кого-то выделить?
Да, OG трощат очень даже эффективно. Вот сейчас схватка vg.reborn и OG, тех, кого мы прошли, между прочим. Да, они борются между собой.
Да. Спасибо. Давай поговорим немножко о твоем сопернике, о вашем сопернике. LGD, команда, с которой вы уже встречались ранее. К ним вернулся Xiao8. Как ты думаешь, удастся директору вывести свое предприятие в плюс?
LGD очень сильный соперник. Вот, мы их очень уважаем. Они очень мощные ребята. Мы с ними немножко квешились на буткемпе в Китае. Вот, ну, и могу выделить, что из Китая они очень сильные. Вот. А можно я еще добавлю немножко про предыдущие дни? У нас есть секретное оружие. Это Витя. Он машина. Он просто едет и давит. Вот. Ты химию, кстати, знаешь там немножко?
Немножко.
Ну вот, H2SO4, соляная кислота, и Витька в этом спец, он просто топит в нее и все.
Это подробности просто нам выдал. Ну да, он, кстати, вчера то же самое примерно сказал о тебе в интервью, у нас, по-моему, нет? Ну, неважно. В общем-то, очень многие хотели увидеть финал Na'Vi Альянс, но, к сожалению, шведы уже выбыли из нашего турнира. Но, конечно, мы и все ваши многочисленные фанаты верим и надеемся на то, что все-таки вас мы увидим. Может быть, ты хочешь что-то им сказать?
Спасибо огромное за поддержку. Это просто невероятно. Ваша энергия нас заряжает, и мы боремся и трощим.
Спасибо большое. Удачи в матче.
Not a big surprise that there is a lot of the hometown crowd rallying behind Na'Vi to be able to push themselves into the final. And gentlemen, I got to ask you, should Na'Vi be satisfied with how far they've already made it, or do you think they're not going to be satisfied until they get that title?
I don't think any team that's come this far is going to be like, I mean, Navi's had such hard struggles in the past, year or so with their roster. You have to show everybody that we're here to stay for forever now, or at least, until the next roster change. And I hope that's not anytime soon.
Okay, maybe I should pose the question. Have they already surprised most expectations?
I guess for maybe for him, not for me, because I expected them to do this.
I don't know that I expected them to. The fact that
they've just grinded so many games for me, and I've watched them so many times. They've won a lot of good games, and when the only way I see them losing is when they kind of throw. Like, they get a little bit hot-headed. Like, we saw MVP.
We're going to talk about that. Because the way I would put it is throw gets tossed around too much.
Well,
right?
yeah, and that's not not too much. Get too over-aggressive is a better word.
They have a problem. They're not very consistent in terms of consolidating an advantage coming out of the laning stage. They'll have these games where they get ahead in lane and they won't execute in mid-game engagements, but they've cleaned that up so dramatically. That's what I was about to say when Dakota originally raised that point to us, was that I'm not necessarily surprised that Navi's in this position. We all thought that they had some upside. They're playing against the home crowd, but they've looked like a really clean team this tournament. And that, to me, the way that they've gotten here, right, how good that they've looked is a bit of a surprise.
Now, what do you think, though? Actually, I have two different questions here. They have obviously been training pretty hard, and they've been having that Chinese boot camp where they've been grinding out a lot of games, apparently, with LGD. But I've noticed they have a pretty different play style between both of them. Navi, very face rush, very, moving forward, push, 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 go, go, go. And then LGD, methodical, slow. They've even admitted themselves their mid game is always can be a bit on the lackluster side, but late game is when they can really thrive with their patience and excellent shot calling from this man himself, the director, the legend.
I think this game is going to come down to maybe even the Ember Spirit. We saw how amazing Miracle was on the Ember Spirit in 2 of his games, and both of these teams, Inditya as well as Aggressive, they run this hero absolutely amazingly, and that's what they love. We saw, I think it was day 1 where Aggressive just carried his team on an Ember Spirit. He had 2 amazing buybacks that just won his team the game flat out. And I think that's going to be one of the most high priority picks in the second phase. And then Lion. Obviously, Lion and Doom for me are going to be key for LGD's side. And then we obviously know what Navi's going to run. They're just going to run like Risk, Batrider.
Batrider.
Oh, man.
All day. I just think that the key heroes in this series are Batrider, Batrider, and Batrider. Navi is a different team with General playing that hero. Even LGD, by the way, has experimented with Batrider as well. They ran maybe on it mid in a couple of online games right before this tournament. Looked pretty decent doing that. But there's the crowd favorite. And how can you not cheer for Dendi? He's just one of the most... He's one of those guys that is just as entertaining in person as he is on the big screen.
How do you think LGD are going to be able to cope with the mid lane pressure? Have we seen maybe tested in that sense where Navi really love to run those dual lanes and give it to him?
I think they're fine. I think maybe is a player that is capable of playing at as high a technical level as anybody in the world. He hasn't necessarily been playing up to that potential with LGD's roster over the last few months since TI5, but he showed at TI5 that he can play with absolutely anybody.
I just want to see if they're going to bait out Maybe's Invoker and then just say, hey, Dendi, you're going to get Queen of Pain, and we're going to constantly rotate on Invokers maybe to put the pressure out constantly, because I know they like baiting these picks and just running aggressively at them. So that's going to be a key factor, like you talked about. How is Maybe going to do in the mid lane? Because I think in these 1v1 situations, he can definitely hold his own against Dendi. He's an incredibly talented player, and... well, it looks like we might be ready to go soon.
Let me throw out to you. I want to see how LGD are going to deal with these wonderful aggressive dual lanes coming out from Navi. I really like, we started to see it in Dream League when they were running the Batrider and the Wisp with General and Artstyle playing very well together. But we've seen some different combinations from them in this tournament. We saw Beastmaster, Witch Doctor, and I just think they're playing with such confidence in that top lane together on the Radiant side especially. And, what a difference a few months makes. All of us knew that Artstyle had this leadership potential, right? But we have gone from questioning whether Artstyle was a liability to his play in this tournament's been very solid.
Gentlemen, looks like we have a draft. Let's hop into game number 1. And another thing that you cannot forget is LGD not afraid to pull out something a bit funky fresh. It was just their last match against Alliance. Remember the off-lane Zhao Wei puck here. They're not afraid to pull out something that you don't really see every day to get the job done.
Any surprises for you in those bans?
No.
Yeah.
You had to ban out maybe his Invoker if you're not going to, and then like you can only really bait it out and then punish it maybe in the laning sales. Else he's just going to run over you in later stage. The biggest thing now is for LGD if they want to get Enchantress. Yeah, that you have to just get that hero here because you don't ban out, you ban out Artstyle's Chen and then, yeah, Beastmaster for General. Are they going to get Wisp now is another thing. Na'Vi, they sometimes wait till the second phase to get it.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. So I thought not Na'Vi, if they were on the table, we're going to start with either the Batrider or the Beastmaster, but this is going to be their aggro dual lane that they'll pick up right away. They're going to run that Beastmaster and the Witch Doctor. They sometimes will keep Artstyle down in the safe lane off the Radiant side, but I think they're just so much a better team when they start aggro.
Yeah, and but the reason why they were able to run aggro is because they have like Furion in the safe lane or a Batrider or something like that doesn't need the support extra. But now that you banned out the Furion, they might have to transition it into the bottom lane.
But that's Dit Yura, though. That's a Dit Yura effect. Like, he plays a nice number of carries that are either autonomous by their nature or that are autonomous the way that he plays them. He can play a Clinks. He can play a lot of heroes that don't need as much help in lane. The Death Prophet early on, to me, it's a very strong hero in Maybe's hands. He's very confident with that hero, but it's a little bit vulnerable to the early roam to be picking it this early. Then again, you do have the Enchantress on your side.
Yeah, you have Enchantress on your side. You can. This is a really good lineup for just taking Roche early on. One Death Prophet ulti, and then with Untouchable here, or even another hero that has good DPS or minus armor on Roche. They're good at fast, and so Na'Vi they do have ways to scout that out with the Beastmaster here. But now, yeah, we have to look. Do LGD want to go for that push strat now, and then how are Na'Vi going to maybe counter it? So I think good heroes to ban out now is probably. Well, you're not really scared of maybe a Lycan anymore because the Enchantress.
I still think it's worth a ban against Na'Vi. I agree with what you said on paper. I still think it's worth a ban against Na'Vi because of Dit Yura. The Earth Spirit ban, definitely something you don't want to leave on the table. And the Night Stalker, I thought Zhao 8's decision in one of the first series of the tournaments to run that Night Stalker offlane, rush the Ags
against the Beastmaster.
Exactly.
When you have Beastmaster, it's like a no-brainer. You don't want to have that against you. And they can even just run it as a jungler, anything they want.
Yeah, the other hero that you always have to have, at least in the back of your mind, against Na'Vi and Dit Yura in particular, is the Ursa. They will run that hero.
Yeah. I think this is a good Sven game, though. But yeah, you have to ban Wisp. You have to give a lot of respect. Sven's really good in this game when you want to go against the DP. You just Warcry, adds a lot of armor and tank ability. Is amazing on the hero. And you can just disengage very effectively or just run at the Death Prophet.
You like the Sven matchup against the Enchantress, though?
As long as you can have a good support, like maybe a CM or something, and you just ensure his good laning phase.
They banned that puck.
Yeah, there's the respect. I think it was you that mentioned that, too. There's the respect to the Zhao 8 potential offlane puck. You've already got your mid here.
Yeah, LGD, they could still grab up something safe as a support for a Lion if they want to, but it's Navi's pick now.
Yeah, LGD Lion seems good.
Where are you here, Ryu?
I'd still say Sven, or you can just pick up another support, leave it open, because they don't want to get too kited. That's Sven's big problem. Spirit Siphon goes through BKB, Enchantress, Impetus does too, so it could be a liability in the longevity of things.
Too ballsy to call up maybe something like a Clinks for Na'Vi. Typically good to burst through the Death Prophet and can be good
I like
against
your balls,
the
and Ditya has the biggest balls with that hero.
I mean, I think you can go ahead and pick up your Queen for Dendi if you really want. Again, I still would like the Lycan over the Sven, but Sven would be a solid pick here as well. I hope they don't pick Oracle. I really do. Oh,
okay.
Wow. Okay.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
you kind of deny the pick to LGD too.
I feel like we're getting so baited against the bounty because we've gotten used to seeing it banned first phase.
Yeah.
And then when it isn't banned, it's not picked up until okay, it's 5th pick in the last 2 games of the last series.
But let's talk about this because we were bantering about this a little bit off camera. I didn't feel like OG got quite as much value as they could have out of the bounty hunter. By the way, except for the fact that they had picked up Beastmaster first and they don't really run Beastmaster in any other position than off lane, that Batrider would have been so good for Na'Vi. But there you go, LGD have it. And I think this is going to be a Zhao 8 offlane Batrider almost for certain.
And when you already commit to the Witch Doctor and to the Bounty Hunter, you don't get those safe options to bail out anyone who does get hog tied up like your Venge or even the Oracle in that matter. So they might need to consider a way to kind of either pick up a core who can kind of withstand the pressure or just avoid the Bat Rider altogether. It's going to be interesting to see what Na'Vi decide to go for.
I think you got to pick Dityaraz here.
What about Ember Spirit?
Ember's
all right.
Ember's decent here. Talked about it before the game. Both teams will gladly pick up that hero at any given moment.
I mean, you also take it away from aggressive, which might be a positive in its own right. He has been playing that hero ridiculously
Needs something to just kind of like deep push eventually, or just.
You know what? I go back on that. Queen has just worked so well for you in this tournament that even with the roaming Enchantress,
Queen,
you got to go
just
Queen.
Have to.
All right, so it looks like we'll have a Queen versus Death Prophet.
Nahaz is trying to steer me the wrong way, guys.
Sorry.
But back the way of LGD. I made the call out for a Lion before. I mean, any other possible 5-position supports that could be to the benefit of them. They already have a respectable amount of push. Nah. Maybe instead of a Lion, you go for a Shadow Shaman.
Shocked Lion is still in the pool. I think he's
give me Drow. Drow, just
you
for me.
You have got to be kidding.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. Relax. Relax.
Baited.
Yeah, but in all honesty, what's a good hero here is another tempo control. I think Gyro is not even that bad for LGD because they get they can get super aggressive early on against. And it's really good against the Beastmaster, the offlane here.
I just think there are so many heroes though left in the pool that aggressive plays well, and that's the one that you pick because Na'Vi might have actually banned it, but you've got plenty of options for aggressive.
They have options now, at least for Na'Vi, because they got the Beastmaster Roar. The Queen of Pain can still go Orchid, so they do have ways to shut them down in the mid game. So it's not, like, oh my God, they have Oracle on the enemy team and we have no Lion or anything and we're just screwed. But so Na'Vi, now they have to think about it, because what's a good hero here now is if you can get an Abyssal Blade on certain heroes, right? Like Lifestealer we talk about, or we talk about Ursa. So it's gonna be questioning. Yeah, Lion you have to kind of ban out here.
Yeah, you ban the Lion.
What would you rather see? Like, would you rather see
for Na'Vi?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've got to go. The heroes we're talking about here, you got the Lycan still in the pool. You got the Sven.
Clinks.
You've got Clinks is a kind of a possibility. I don't know that I'm crazy about it here. He still feels a little bit on the squishy
Clinks
side.
Is really
we got to talk
bad.
about the Spectre though.
Spectre isn't that bad right now.
I think you got to talk about the Spectre for Na'Vi.
Is a potential for Na'Vi, but
I haven't seen him play it recently though. It would be their first of this tournament if they do pull it out.
Yeah, first
feels like a conflict of their
before.
Usual speed.
Not as much as you might think, because you got to, again, we talked about this on the panel the other night. You got to look at how Spectre has evolved. Spectre is despite the last game where obviously she did fill this role, Spectre's been run, especially in the CIS, as much less of a hard farming carry and much more of an active team fighting hero
the bad
early
man
on.
thing. Yeah. Certainly the case here.
Doesn't give you sometimes enough burst damage though, and it might take too long to get online.
Can you Ursa here though as Na'Vi? I don't think you can anymore.
I mean, I talked about it already. I asked you the question, dang it. You can't.
You're
turning it back
out of here.
Well, that was earlier, and then I brought it back to you again.
Oh my
Alan, please.
It's his fault.
Let's keep it together.
We're bickering like old people. You're not old. Get out of here.
All right, so you win.
We'll see where LGD decide to give the nod. I mean, other possible core options they've ran in the past. There's the Jug, but I don't see the Jug fitting here. And they will decide to get rid of the Spectre here. So unless they're going for a Jug or a Lycan, we're going to be seeing something a bit different. Yeah, the Sven is still out there.
I think I talked about Sven earlier for Ditya. Still a possibility. You talked about Lycan. I really dislike Lycan and Beastmaster when you have the Enchantress on the enemy team. But if you have like 2 books, honestly, and you're just running at towers, like what the hell do you do? But LGD have like nice ways. There you go, Lycan. But still, it's going to be a really good counter. But LGD, we talk about them a lot. They have to be the high ground kings of this tournament. Ember Spirit, Bat Rider now are amazing heroes. What's a good support now to round up LGD's lineup?
Lion has been banned, so I don't know.
Good one, Dakota. I got you.
His Venge is still on the table.
Venge is still there. The Rasta's still there. I like the Venge because you are Dire's side.
I like Rasta. Okay,
Disruptor. Okay, that works.
Disruptor.
Cool.
Haven't seen him in quite
a
while.
Really solid draft by both teams here.
All right, gentlemen. You got to make a choice, though.
I have to go with Na'Vi. Even though LGD, I think, have played the highest level Dota at this tournament, I think Na'Vi has a lineup they're very comfortable with.
I think they're going to punish Navi's lineup, and LGD are going to win this with the Bat Rider.
I have faith in the aggressive Ember Spirit. I'm also going to be going with LGD on this one. So from myself and the Allens, let's throw it out to the Davids who are hanging out in the Cyber Sports Arena. LD and GoDz, gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Cuddle Guy. That's right. We are the Davids, and hopefully we bicker less than the Allens in this caster. It's going to be hard to follow the action.
I'm willing to get along, LD. Okay. We got hopefully 3 games ahead of us.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's stick together. Let's see if we can keep it together. Na'Vi LGD, best of 3, your winner bracket finals. Winning team will sit back tomorrow and watch the loser duke it out with vg.reborn, who certainly look to be reborn as the players enter the fields of Dodo. We're underway. The proverbial horn 3, about to 2, sound.
1.
Go! And it begins. So early on, we do see September moving out, dropping a ward.
I was a little worried the Na'Vi chance hadn't started yet, LD, but there we go. Crowd kicks in. This is what we came to expect between these teams, well, with any Na'Vi match. And Na'Vi are going to need it taking on LGD because these guys have been beasting their way through the bracket.
They got to be careful because yesterday, the louder the Na'Vi chants get, the better it was going for the opposition at times. So we'll see. For now, ward has been deployed, was not scouted out. So LGD going to get some early intel here. As for the bottom side of the map, Yaran does see the Bat Rider. Xiao8 not opting to drop his ward.
LGD hoping to have Bounty Hunter walk into them with the sentry as they sit on the high ground, but a kind of common place to wait with a sentry. Won't see Siniko falling for the trap, and they also scouted out LGD there with a boar, so it'd be a bit foolish of him to run up that way.
Yeah, he's going to head the other direction. I don't think he saw Xiao8 actually drop the ward out of his inventory, but he will notice it's missing now, so can suspect that it's been planted, but likely does not know where. Gets the auto attacks off, continuing to pursue, has gone for the early orb of Venom. Deploying a sentry up on the high ground now, trying to limit the Bat Rider's access to the jungle, as that is within the spawn box, just barely. But Xiao8, we'll have to see if he looks to retreat to the jungle early. Up against a Witch Doctor, Lycan, not really the strongest zoning lane. And GoDz, the question is, how many couriers will die this game? The answer seems to be 0, at least for now.
We've seen a lot of courier deaths today. We saw Doom smoked up with boot sniper courier. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. Siniko will walk, well, he drops the sentry, scouts out the observer ward, and then backs off.
Oh, no, that's
the dire sentry. Oh.
That was setting up for the level 1.
Yeah, I'm getting my colors mixed up. So maybe we'll get a D ward, and with the Tengu regen, he can just trade hits. He doesn't care about Siniko poking him.
Style, 5 stacks of napalm. It's going to get bullied out of this bottom lane. So early days here, but Bat Rider having a good time of it with the cask on cooldown.
Bat Rider against this dual lane should have a very good time. Lycan has a magic stick, but you're not really worried about feeding a Lycan magic stick charge. If you can kill Art Style, you'll take it.
There is some pressure mounting mid, though, as they continue to poke and prod with Sineko. The Sentry Ward to the north, I guess, less likely to get dewarded, but also does not really give you much vision of the Bounty Hunter if he approaches from the south. So able to get the pokes in on maybe. And it is going to be, I guess at this point, the pretty standard dual lane for Na'Vi mid. Dendi, they're looking to snowball him early, and so far, CS even, but maybe's regen is quickly being chewed through.
Yeah, it's kind of saying during the draft from over here, it's like, oh, they're going to do some kind of like IO co-op dual lane mid. The IO gets banned, but the replacement is the bounty.
Top lane gets caught out. Troll trap to start, the kinetic field to follow, and it ends with death. Yeah. General down for the count.
He had the Hulk in position, but September with the smoke pass through and finds the first blood.
Yeah, well played there. He's going to rotate back. Sineko now moving up towards the top rune. Yet to really find that opportunity for a kill.
It seems more and more we're seeing bounty hunters in the first 5 minutes actually get very little done as far as finding kills or even harassing, but
yeah, as you say that, well, maybe, but he's got the Spirit Siphon going. This won't be particularly easy, and he does have a Tango available. Pops the Fairy Fire. Salve has just been delivered. It'll be right back to full HP, so weathers the storm.
And ultimately, it's been, what I was trying to get to the point to say is, it seems more like pesky harass coming out of these bounty hunters. It's been a bit more than that this game, with the Death Prophet being much more threatened than some other mid laners that we've seen. So already Sineko being more effective than what we saw in like the last best of 3 with the early game bounty hunter rotations.
Yeah, has not done much to shut down the jungler, though. We saw Moon really denied as the Nature's Prophet, but September able to find creeps, go back to the woods, gets the first blood, so not as effective in that regard, I suppose. Just really focused on trying to control this mid lane. And only 5 and 3 for Maybe here, so he is feeling the heat, at least for now. Looking at Xiao 8 GoDz, he's picked up the Tranquil Boots. He's going to head back towards the base as he is out of mana. Seems like he's getting quite a bit out of his off lane, whereas General, no help from the bounty. He's only level 2.
Yeah, Xiao 8 doing great. Unfortunately for him, he didn't have his camp there to stack, so it does miss out on a bit of farm because of that. But already being level 4 in the off lane, very likely just continues to TP it out there. And it's really hard for a Witch Doctor to stay in this lane. You don't have boots if you're art style playing that 5-position support, so he's very vulnerable to just getting solo killed by Batrider.
They are making a move here on Maybe, but he's got a Spirit type, and he's going to look to turn this one around. They got to be careful. Maybe ends up getting the first kill. He's going to turn on to Dendi now, who pops the Fairy Fire. He's missing uphill. That could be costly. Oh, barely ticks down. Dendi will get the kill, but while that was happening, once again, LGD locating General and bringing him down. So another 2-for-1 trade, again favoring LGD. But the good news is they've gotten the Dendi ball rolling at least a little bit.
Yeah. Dendi going for a very aggressive build with the 2 points in Shadow Strike. Really wanting to find those early kills, and it does pay off, coming at a slight cost of the Bounty Hunter's life. Ultimately a worthwhile trade, as Dendi needed the kind of gold as well as experience boost that he does get from that kill.
It is basically a free farm Ember Spirit. Let's take a look at the top lane here. Aggressive, not only is he finding kills early, well, 2 assists to be precise, but he is getting basically free farm in the lane. So he had 26 CS, matching the Lycan of Ditya. Who do you think is going to have more impact here as we head towards the tail end of the laning stage? Are both heroes pretty equally well suited, or is there someone that jumps out at you?
Definitely more aggression potential coming out from the Ember Spirit. Lycan can rotate around the shapeshift, but at level 1 it has that long 2-minute cooldown. And Ember Spirit just has much higher uptime. When he hits that Boots of Travel, expect for him to show up for any engagement that happens around the map. So
it's actually a tri-lane mid because the Howl comes through, Maybe dropping quickly even through the Siphon. They get the kill. Na'Vi, where 2 failed, 3 succeed, even through the mighty Hellbear Smasher.
And that's something Na'Vi are better at than any team I see with the Lycan, is saving the Howl for those ganks like that. Even earlier on when it was just Quap and Bounty Hunter, they used the Howl when they go in for either harass or for the kill to give them that little bit of extra damage. So Na'Vi are very good about when they time the use of Howl.
Yeah, and so really it was more of a 4-hero gank if you want to count that. Big commitment from Na'Vi, but it does pay off. And the nice thing here for the Lycan bottom is it might not lane the best against the Batrider, but as long as he doesn't get caught, the Wolves can do some work. Xiao 8 getting poked a bit, but does commit the Firefly as Seneko finally journeys down. Level 4 at 6 minutes. Fantastic start here. Has been leeching some XP for the mid lane, but overall, seems he's having his impact. Much higher level than FY. FY was more purely like the denial-based bounty hunter.
Xiao 8, bottom rune. Should go down here. Yeah, outside with the rotation and the Lycan Wolves. Again, Na'Vi just always making sure they commit enough resources to the kill, whether it's the Howl, sending the Lycan Wolves with the supports. If they don't have those Lycan Wolves, I don't know if they get that kill.
General, death number 3 perhaps. Ember, Remnant forward, and then does have the chains. He gets glimpsed back into a kinetic field. They just grab him. An aggressive will collect it. Let's see, has already picked up and completed a kill as well as the bottle, so.
Just offlaner's life against Enchantress ganks and things.
Yeah, and they have the ward here now, so it's going to be very tough for Mr. General.
Yeah. And often you don't expect all those Enchantress ganks to come your way, even more so when they've already killed him once, but Quap in the mid lane with Blink, very hard to gank, so the Enchantress is just saying, let's just only really gank this top lane. It transitions well into that tier 1 tower, and Aggressive can get a very fast Boots of Travel as a result because of this. Already with the Boots, Aquila, and now the bottle coming out on the Courier.
Yeah, they really love the BOT Ember, especially when Batrider's on the field. It basically, anywhere the Batrider finds a lasso, Ember can be your second punch to secure the kill. For now, Ditya has rotated into the jungle. They want to give Artstyle some experience, who's also doing very well here for levels. He is level 5. And we're only 7 minutes in. These Na'Vi supports are having a fantastic start here, GoDz. And while that's going on, Xiao 8 making his journey back to bottom, has the lasso ready. As we see Aggressive posting up top lane. They did take the tower down in the end. Last hit going to the Dire. But yeah, the Na'Vi supports. Very high level so far.
Yeah, and having a Death Ward already online, there's a couple of decent spells to cancel it. No Flame Break leveled yet from Zhao 8, but just means that this Witch Doctor actually has some solo, or 2-hero kill potential. Like right now, Batrider's seeing this bottom lane, a good cast can lead into a kill with Death Ward with a +1.
Aggressive is going to isolate Diarra, who doesn't quite have mana for the shapeshift, does have stick charges. Opts to pop the Howl instead. It looks like he wants to fight this one, and now he finds himself still holding onto the stick, trying to bait. Shapeshift coming out, but is he going to go down in time? No, the cask! Art Style turns it and swats him down, and then Diarra comes back in, munches on Bambi. It will be venison for dinner as Zhao 8 goes for the TP out. That too is denied. Shuriken says no. 4 LGD heroes wiped off the map.
Well, there's a reason you go jungle when you're a hero like Lycan and you can get value out of a support ultimate. Artsal coming in with a great cast Death Ward.
What a bait there from Diarra.
Yeah, he helped, like you were saying, I'm watching like, okay, he's not ulting, he couldn't use it to escape, but he didn't want to escape. He wanted to lure LGD in, thinking they had that kill, and great coordination and just teamwork coming out from Na'Vi. This is feeling like a true team with a strategy, complete objectives in mind at all times, and they're playing so well together.
It's not too often you see a veteran team like LGD with Zhao 8 at the helm get lured into such a trap, but that is normally where we see that invasion play a lot of the time from, I mean, Navi's done it quite a bit, but especially from LGD and VG Reborn. And normally it nets you kills, you get a tower, you take over the enemy woods. Instead, the complete opposite this game. Not the script that Zhao 8 had in mind. Could be in trouble here. Has the Firefly going, the Napalm slowly coming in, but Zhao 8 will be next. Seneko may go down to the tower shots. No, he fades and he jukes out, TP'ing away, and he's out of there. But it does at least open up mid, where maybe he's popped the Exorcism, trying to siege, but Artstyle's waiting in the trees with the Death Ward. So Exorcism won't amount to much. Another win for Na'Vi.
They're just being incredibly efficient as well. Like, they see LGD popping Exorcism mid, they go on the aggressive, well, as they're going on the aggressive top, and like Seneko, he TPs out, then even stays around to hit the tower on like 50 HP, just knowing that there's no one up there to threaten him, and then he TPs home. He heals up, he smokes with Seneko, and Na'Vi, there's no downtime with their aggression. They're going again with Exorcism on cooldown. Taking any teamfight right now would be very difficult for LGD.
LGD do find a tower, so aggressive, closing in on the likely Boots of Travel pickup. 1,200 gold now, but Na'Vi are on the smoke. They move up through the river, rotating into the LGD jungle. Probably looking for a deep ward, I imagine. Doesn't look like they have any, actually. So just purely here for the gank, but Na'Vi applying pressure mid, perhaps trying to draw the rotation from the top lane. There's the Glyphs, attempted the static field follow, but Diarra, they've caged the Wolf, and they will lock him down. But as that was happening, Zhao 8 also falls to Dendi with the double damage rune. So it's a 1-for-1, a Batrider for a Lycan. But Na'Vi with the DD are looking to make it a little bit more. They want this to be a sweeter take, but it will be the tower mid.
Yeah, Dendi kind of veered off from the mid lane to go secure that kill. It was a track kill, so ultimately the 1-for-1 trade, when you get track for yours, probably a little bit better.
Oh, you think it's 1-for-1. Dendi says it might be 1-for-3. And then, oh, MMY there, barely surviving. Popping the stick and hanging on for dear life. And aggressive, now he wants to turn it back the other way. Well, perhaps it's not such a good trade anymore. The vacuum lasso from Zhao 8 following up after the Dendi killed aggressive. Suddenly a double, suddenly Boots of Travel, and some gold in the piggy bank as well. Looked like Dendi was going to get 3 and get out for free, but LGD, they salvaged it.
It's that moment of Na'Vi over-aggression. We see this every now and then in their games. They normally followed up with some great discipline. So it's like that wake-up call, like, okay, everything was going well according to plan. You make that one, like that one player or kind of 2-hero duo will like go for a bit of an overextension. They get punished for it. Now Na'Vi just have to regroup, slow things down a bit, make sure they kind of get those core items or two, farm towards the mech on the bounty hunter, make sure they always have the numbers they need. So go for a 4- or 5-man smoke gank. Don't let LGD back into this game with kind of overextensions as we just saw.
So with that, also closing in now on the Zhao 8 Blink Dagger. How big is a Blink this game?
It's pretty damn big when the only counter to the Batrider is really a fast roar from General. They haven't got that good defensive support.
They've isolated Diarra again, caging the Wolf, draining him of his spirits and killing him off. Maybe had a pretty awful time mid, 1-4, but he's been involved in quite a few kills here. Stemming the bleeding, staying in striking distance of Na'Vi at least, but Na'Vi are going to make moves elsewhere. Towards the top lane, they rotate. The Beastmaster forces out a glyph, now attempts to retreat. MMY deployed an early static storm here, just gets a range for the glimpse now, and brings General all the way back where Aggressive is waiting, but Dendi's there as well, no ultimate. We're relying on right clicks, they will lose General. And September, thinking about an impetus chuck, but Seneko fades away.
Next level Observer Ward from, he didn't actually have the vision until he plants that Observer Ward. So, cute little play coming out from MMY.
It is nighttime, but you drop that combo, you'd better walk away with a kill. As you can see, just a little ward outside the tier 1 tower. And there's the blink.
They've used a decent number of their smokes recently. They've still got one in stock in the shop. Interesting to see if they go right into that now that they've got the blink on Batrider.
Speaking of potential smokes, Na'Vi not actually smoking, but looked like they wanted to make a move on mid, so they are hunting for kills. Key timings, GoDz, as we have a lull in the action here. What are you looking at?
For Na'Vi, Aegis timings, there's Rosh up now, but it's finding the opening to take a Rosh, because that Aegis is going to allow you to transition to taking tower after tower. So far, it's been just one tier 1 tower for Na'Vi, and that's, if not, that's where that over-aggression mid lane, where Dendi goes for the double kill and it backfires, really kind of punishes Na'Vi, because they could have just not gone for the kills and used that time with Dendi alive to push towers. So for Na'Vi, it's the go time is now. Take tier 1 towers and then open up the map to take Rosh. For LGD, it's try and prevent that from happening using Exorcism.
Well, they have Exorcism, but they want to take a fight right here, right now. Director in front, looks for the lasso, he grabs Seneko, and Aggressive moves forward. He's got to be careful though, he's in quite deep, gets roared, will be punished, ends up going down, and that's a track kill as well. Xiao's going to be next. Baby gets off the Exorcism, looks to engage into Na'Vi, Spirit Sight, but also going, but Yara runs in deep. Dendio comes through, 3, maybe 4, so slow, but they do finish him off, and now the cast begins to bounce. MMY, the team has collapsed. And he limps away, the lone survivor of a bloody takedown in the bottom lane.
Artstyle's positioning that fight. He had an Aether Lens. He was in the river using the Death Ward in the lane from so far away. LGD must have been like scratching their heads like, where is this Witch Doctor Death Ward coming from? Because he wrecked them with the cask into Death Ward that fight. Great play and positioning. And LGD just weren't ready for that when they engaged. Finding the Bounty Hunter was just not really the ideal target either.
Oh, he wants to punish the Sultan of SWAT. Already level 10, by the way, on the Witch Doctor. What an insane showing from Artstyle. But that means a lot of experience back the other direction as they hunt it. Yara has the TP. Chain's going down 1 second. Is he going to get it off? Oh, he does. Just barely with the glimpse there as well. A double kill right back for LGD. Still overall Na'Vi taking the tower and getting the greater number of total kills, but I just keep on looking at the graph, GoDz. As soon as Na'Vi take a fight, grab a lead, LGD seem to strike right back.
They're a resilient team, and if you want to kind of know what kind of game we're looking at, Aggressive's item tells it all. He goes a boots of travel into drums. Very rarely do you see this. Sometimes you'll see the drums first and then the boots of travel, but normally the general progression is you go for your battle fear. You start building towards the late game, but Aggressive recognizing that LGD are looking to fight, play, and take on Na'Vi with some of their own aggression is trying to just itemize around that.
The extra HP could be absolutely critical right now, as there is a fresh Orchid picked up on Dendi. So with that, the ability to burst an Ember Spirit through the silence is there, and every little bit of HP makes a difference. And along with that, some medical assistance coming from September. He closes in now in a mech. As Na'Vi engage towards the top lane, they have smoked for this. No smokes to be bought for 2.5 minutes, but 1 on General. So their smoke economy is still fairly healthy. And tower top will fall, grabbed by General. It is a double Necro Book build up here.
Yeah, and this is where I'd love to see Enchantress
they found
leveling up
Seneko,
Enchant.
MMY just popping sentry wards while they're hot. And they will bring Seneko down. Not the cheapest kill, but they deny the Bounty Hunter anyway. Space created, I suppose.
Something like that. But as far as Enchantress goes, you almost want to level up Enchant in a game like this because of those Necrobooks floating around. Even so, it's still a 12-second cooldown when maxed out, but it's much better than the 30-second level 1 cooldown. And his role is going to be that kind of utility support Enchantress, going for an Arcane Boot into mech. Actually having completed the mech 17 minutes in, LGD going for these kind of less common items. The drums maybe not completely unheard of, but the mech Enchantress something a bit new, and They want to itemize purely around these 5v5 fights that we keep seeing.
General, he gets the roar, the silence on Xiao Wei, but Static Storm is there, looking for the turnaround. Aggressive, charges in, gets off the 2-hero chains, but the Death Ward zones the back. LGD, afraid of the Aether Lens Witch Doctor, will retreat. Trying to limit casualties here now. With no Batrider, it's tough to fight, but they lost a second. It could be a third. They look for September, pops the mech. Maledict is affecting him. Thought about a Sonic Wave. Dendy gonna hang on to it. They'll look for the tower instead.
Navi not done. They want this tier 2 tower, and once you start losing towers as well as the hero kills, that's where the track gold, the building gold, the hero kill gold in general just going to start adding up, and LGD losing more and more map control. So this game just will continue to get harder for them as Radiant Vision just covers the map. They've also just, in general, have the Bounty Hunter able to just give them that scouting information constantly. Even like Sneeko, a Death or 2 hero there is not a big deal for Na'Vi, and that's all LGD seem to be getting as of late.
I do want to point out LGD have done a great job of dewarding their woods, but it comes at a cost, just having to spend extra money on sentries, not only for wards, but also for the Bounty Hunter. But with the 4 sentries they planted, I think they got at least 1 deward, maybe 1 expired, or may have even gotten 2
There's still
there,
great
so.
Radiant Vision is the thing, though, so it hasn't totally... It's protected their woods and their jungle, which right now they need to finish a couple of items like Xiao Wei's Force Staff. Death Prophet needs a Yule Scepter, so it's going to help them at least secure some farm, but Na'Vi have more or less complete map control with this vision.
That blasted Yellow Goblin. They tried for the glimpse back, but he is just barely able to sneak out. And good news here for LGD. Aggressive, well on his way to the Battle Fury, despite stopping up for the drums. 2,200 as far as the net worth goes, and that's with a tier 1 still at mid. Na'Vi now holding a 2-tower advantage, and he's still right there with their cores. So
I wonder if there's any chance he gets a Blink Dagger.
Overall, definitely I guess the most farmed hero here.
Yeah.
Once they get those towers, he'll be on top.
Well, LGD probably looking to slow things down a little, not so much slow things down, but at least change the way these fights are happening. They want to just prioritize the Batrider pick-off initiations much more than just running at Na'Vi and hoping for the best.
What are the key areas right now? Looking at LGD that you really feel they need more vision, or are you pretty happy with the warding they have at this point?
It's decent. It's a question of whether they can contest Roshan. If that's going to become a key priority for them, then yeah, all around the Roshan pit. They want to have sentries, observer ward detection, and with their ultis on, when they've got Exorcism, I think contesting Roshan is very much in the ballpark of what's possible. So they're going to try and they keep sending Enchantress creeps in there for now, but they need to deny Na'Vi. I think it's more about denying Na'Vi vision above and around the Roshan pit, but for now, Na'Vi's Observer Ward in the mid lane is giving them full know-how of exactly what LGD are doing, which lets them just get into the Roshan pit uncontested. Yeah, Big Bird was here. Na'Vi slayed him, and now they're going to slay the Big Rock as well. That's an Aegis for Dit Yao Ra. And it looks to be a push down the bottom lane. Tier 2 still stands there, but probably not for long. And with that, Dit Yao Ra has the Necro 3 as well. Beastmaster Necro 3, not too far off, has the money for it actually, but seems like he may be saving for a Blink Dagger instead, as he has not opted to buy the 3rd recipe, in which case they will have a much better source of initiation, Blink into Roar. Yeah, something that Na'Vi don't have a bad initiation by any means, but once the Bounty Hunter scouting and just getting some tracks for the extra movement speed has been kind of the main way they approach fights so far. So, and really, looking forward a bit as Na'Vi are going to back off here. The story of this tournament for Na'Vi has been very patient taking objectives. Rarely have they fully overextended or overcommitted. They take the tier 2, they think about more, but now they end up backing off, and they just leave Sneeko here to harass. They're not going to try to force the high ground just yet, which means aggressive Sneeko at bottom.
Battle Fury coming soon.
He's been dusted up and
General's here, though. Roar, Necro Book deployed, maybe. Dropping low, Shuriken comes in, a warning shot, but Xiao Wei. Oh, Blink Dagger about to cool down. Can he get a range of Sneeko? Doesn't seem so. Didn't have any follow-up detection, so a clean escape from Na'Vi. Very good job there applying pressure, but not getting caught. Yep. And with mech online, Na'Vi even up the mech exchange. And it's forward, though. They found Dendy top. Big kill for LGD. That's quite a streak they've ended, as 730 gold piles in for aggressive, and with that, Battle Fury basically done. Just needs a couple more creep waves. Yeah, he'll have it next creep wave, and
Na'Vi will, of course, have their work cut out for them when it comes to the high ground defense. We talk about Na'Vi being much more slower and methodical with their approach. That's something which could play into LGD's hands. If anything, it's you've got to be a bit unpredictable if you want to try and break through their high ground defense. They've got the Ember Spirit with a Battle Fury. They're going to have Death Prophet able to just spam out waves. And that Rider, another amazing high ground defender, just when he's able to get that pick off, pull a hero into the tier 4 towers. Unless you've got something to negate the lasso, pushing high ground gets very, very difficult. And right now, Na'Vi just don't have that great hero to do it with. They've got a Beastmaster Hawk to ideally scout the Batrider initiation. And if you do that, you can get the roar up. But if Zhao Weight's smoked up, or if they just aren't able to get the Hawk inside the Dire base, suddenly it gets very challenging.
Well, it looks like there was a warding mission, but may have been scouted out here by Na'Vi. MMY backing off for the time being. Did buy a gem for Zhao Weit. So LGD putting a lot more emphasis on the vision game. The Roche won't be available for some time, but thinking forward towards the next Roche and to that pesky little bounty hunter.
And pesky little summon wolves, pesky little hawks. There's so many things that force a gem out here, and the sooner the better in my mind. The second Zhao Weit had Force Staff, he at least has enough survivability with the Blink and Force that getting the gem is well justified. Na'Vi have taken map control. Like, once you lose map control, you buy your gem. And that's going to be one of Zhao Weight's missions over the next stage of the game, is to try and deny some of that Na'Vi vision through dewarding and just taking out Hawks, taking out those pesky wolves as well.
Yeah, he will find a Sentry Ward from the bottom lane. Na'Vi taking down the tier 2 top, moving methodically from lane to lane, and now they've cracked all the outer towers. So the question becomes, do they look to breach the base? About a minute and change remaining on this Aegis, so if they want to go, it will need to be soon. But they are backing away. It seems they may not try with this particular.
Yeah, they're very close to double BKBs. Dendi has his, and Lycan is... Oh yeah, they both got them. So they've got double BKB. A minute on Aegis, it's kind of cutting it close, but if anything, the BKBs just allow them to fight and kind of take more control of the map, prevent LGD from even leaving their base. So I think Na'Vi with this, not going to just necessarily group up as 5 and go for like a brute force down your base approach, but will be looking to keep LGD in their own base, keep them away from any farm, and yeah, just don't allow them to get any ground on this map.
Yeah, that's where the Beastmaster will come in handy with the Hawk, the Wolves as well to scout. It's something we touched on at length as far as VG Gaming and how they could draft for success on the panel, and we're seeing it even more so perhaps here from Na'Vi with a lot of vision heroes. The Batrider, not quite as strong in terms of what vision he gives you directly, but with a gem and the ability to deward, he counters the enemy vision game. So it really is all about that jump.
Gosh, Artsel has an Aghanim Scepter and 200 gold. Holy, this early in the game, having an Aghs Witch Doctor is brutal. No one really has decent armor to negate the damage from this. Canceling this Death Ward becomes a top priority for LGD in any team fight.
Na'Vi aggressively moving forward into the LGD jungle. Looks like they want to find a pick, which could set up that high ground push with, as you mentioned, the double BKB. But it seems LGD figured it out. They back away. Maybe could lose the Ember Spirit of aggressive.
He's got a Remnant he just put up to the north in the trees. Which
this is going to be a tough kill. They really need the perfect roar. He's into the trees. He TPs away, and he'll make it out.
Yeah, nice escape from aggressive. And he needs to be active on the map, pressing out lane. So he's going to put himself in a position where he may get picked off, but ultimately that's something that's just essential for LGD at this stage of the game. That's one of the kind of key parts of them kind of turning things around, is not just sitting around idly in your base waiting for Na'Vi to come to you. You've got to keep and maintain your Ember Spirits farm, build towards some kind of item progression, and go from there.
Look at it go.
Oh boy, this has been one of the best, probably best Witch Doctor performance we've seen this tournament, and
he is right there with Zhao Weight's Batrider. Now they do have something of a tower gold advantage, but as well as the Roshan, but still. Very impressive stuff from Artstyle. 2, 1, and 7.
Yeah, the kill score is just not really telling the full picture. LGD actually have an experience lead, funnily enough. That kind of speaks to Na'Vi spending more time grouped up, pushing down, taking objectives. They've got a very low-level bounty as well. Bounty just constantly kind of getting picked off and providing scouting information without actually getting much in the way of experience and levels. But he has the mech, he has the arcane boots. He's of great use to his team regardless of his level 9.
So we've find ourselves, I think, in a place we thought we'd be, perhaps not the way we thought we would, but after a very chaotic early game, a lot of back and forth exchanges, overextensions, counterplays, punishments, the end result is that Na'Vi have taken the outer towers. They have somewhat backed LGD up on the map. LGD occasionally leaving the base, but in the defensive posture. Now the question becomes, LGD have a great high ground lineup. It was discussed on the analyst panel, and you've talked about it as well, GoDz. How do they fully break into the base? What's the checklist for them? They may lose Seneko here.
Yep. Not having Seneko dead, that's maybe part of the checklist. But more importantly, securing next Roche. Wow, September mid, Death Ward. There we go. First use of that. They use Raw and Death Ward, but Na'Vi, this is very much like the stage of the game where they know they're not going to be pushing high ground anytime soon, unless they somehow catch off aggressive by like some huge misplay of his and he doesn't have buyback, for example. But this is the stage of the game where Na'Vi are more or less just waiting for Roche to respawn. Grabbing an Aegis is going to be the most important thing to allow them to push high ground. They've got double Necro 3 book. They've got BKB on 2 of their cores. They've got the Aghanims on Witch Doctor. Item-wise, they've got everything you could hope for outside of an Aegis. So next 3-4 minutes, find what pickoffs you can. Keep LGD under pressure, keep them away from farming, and then go for Roche, and then try and take fights and force the high ground.
So you're saying, do you think they can just like straight up like battering ram their way in? Do they need to find a pick? How do they go about breaking?
It's easier with a pick. It's whether LGD give them that pick off. If it kind of depends on LGD's response to an Aegis on Na'Vi's side. Like when you look at what VGR did earlier in the previous series, they went on the aggressive to try and catch Na'Vi by surprise. But LGD generally takes the approach where they wait for you on their high ground and try use their just positional play to defend. And I think that's where Na'Vi may just be forced to like try and break the high ground using the Necro books. It's not going to be easy because of the Battle Fury and Ember Spirit. He can kind of fearlessly just throw out Sleights of Fists onto the Necros, which makes it a kind of slow chipping process from Na'Vi. But they basically need to test LGD. They're going to have to get the Aegis and then see what LGD's response is to a push involving that Aegis. Whether LGD come to them, then they take the fight, or if LGD sit way back, they've just got to start chipping away, working on that base.
Roshan is coming up pretty soon, about a minute and a half to go. So we'll see likely an attempt. But the game has really quieted down, much slower.
I don't think LGD dare try and stop Roche happening. The map vision is just too big of an issue. They've got one ward up kind of around the Roche area, but Radiant vision just...
About to expire, though. It's going to be gone before the
I mean, Radiant side have 0 wards, but they have way better map vision and just map control in general, just because of the summons. Yeah, the Hawk. I mean, Hawk's alone, but then you've got Wolves. It's incomparable to what LGD have.
Na'Vi keeping those lanes pushed in. They're going to hold top. DRA now grabbing a plate mail, so it looks like AC's next. Just the very standard items to try and crack open LGD.
Some good armor.
Dendy working on a Hex here, it seems, with the Ultimate Orb now picked up.
Yeah, that's a good choice, having some catch for the Ember Spirit. Normally when we've seen these Embers and Pucks, they've thrived when there's no Hex, there's no Lions in the game, there's nothing to kind of lock them in place. And that's something Na'Vi, outside of the Raw, don't have against the Ember Spirit. So getting a Hex on Dendy will make their life a whole lot easier. But LGD, knowing that the Lycan TP top, and I maybe believe they caught wind of the fact that Dendy was in bottom lane, tried to get aggressive bottom, but Na'Vi, they disengage, they don't get caught on the retreat.
I think you put it well when you said poking. It's poking not just from Na'Vi, but also from LGD. Yeah. Just sticking their head out a little bit. What's going on? We don't really like the way that looks. Let's go back to the base. Play it safe, wait for Roche. It's like take a clean fight, but if there's no clean fights, take none at all.
They were like waiting to have a shower and just like put in a little pinky finger to test the temperature of the water.
It's
like
hot. It's cold. That's not quite right.
But really, like I feel like the teams didn't even put in like enough of a limb to test the water temperature here. Like for Na'Vi more so. Like at some point they should be making LGD have a response to some aggression. And I think that time is going to come with this Aegis. Na'Vi...
5 heroes around the pit.
Yeah, exactly. And LGD don't really have a good play to try and stop this going down. You can kind of see them just spread out, farming their side of the map. Most likely knowing full well that Na'Vi at any given time can be in that Roche pit and will be coming their way with an Aegis.
Aggressive was pushing out the top lane, leaving man to illusions, and should be able to get the tier 2 tower, so has now officially become the most farmed hero in the game, and can only imagine that his lead will accelerate unless Na'Vi actually break the base or find a kill.
Yeah.
So he pulls ahead, but it comes at the cost of Na'Vi's objectives. Could be the Roche that decides the game. It's a free Aegis. Now the question is, what do Na'Vi do with it? Close to a Hex on Dendi. Aside from that, any other big items that you see coming out?
The AC, I guess, on the Lycan. That's like to help negate the Sleight of Fist damage on the Necro Books, any bonus armor you can get. Drop the Necro Books, pop a Howl, attack the tower, and just and basically what's going to happen is Ember's going to try and Sleight of Fist, bring them down. Like Death Prophet will walk up, weaken them with a Crypt Swarm, and then Sleight of Fist is there for the cleanup. But
aggressive going deep here in the top lane. Really wanted a piece of that sweet Sonigo, but he will go down. Not worth it whatsoever. Giving away the Ember's life, even if he gets the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
A big win for Na'Vi, and they force this buyback.
Yeah, they're going to be looking
question.
around like which lanes are pushed out, where can we go? 60 seconds, and mid lane is very deep on the dire side of the map.
They are streaming that direction. General marching out mid.
One
they
Necro
won't
Book
have
available
a Necro
too.
Book.
They've got one of the two, which is enough to probably force a buyback, if anything.
45 seconds to go. Checking out LGD. They do have a glyph available.
Now, the scariest part about the high ground defense is actually the Bat Rider and how he can just pull heroes deep into the base. Even a hero with an Aegis, if you get pulled into tier 4 towers, you may just die twice.
Well, Na'Vi also have a secret weapon, and that is going to be Dendi's BKB Hex Aegis. He can go aggressive. He does, in fact. He interrupts that very lasso show. He's able to get the force step out, but Abdeyah Raz popped his BKB. He'll tank right through it. Sepp gets forced back, and Na'Vi turn back for the tower. Objective-based gaming. In their hometown, they take the tower. Do they get more? They have lockdown Denny, cracking the Aegis, and Aggressive rejoins the fight. He had to buy back for this. If he goes down, could really get punished. Now Dendi on life number 2, dropping pretty fast. The Ghost stacking up the Spirit Siphon there. Can they get the kill? They can. LGD hold the base for now. Queen of Pain down for 70, no buyback available. And now a glimpse. Art Style next, trapped inside the kinetic field. He too will fall, and on to General. LGD looking to rout Na'Vi. They brought down 3. It was a big buyback. It cost them 2, including the Ember Spirit from earlier.
Yeah. What a great silence on the Aegis respawn. Dendi didn't have BKB, got silenced up, and could not escape the dire base. A lot about what I was talking about. The Bat Rider just forces this fight where Na'Vi get pulled in really deep into the dire base, and from there, Na'Vi are committed. They've got to just hold their ground and fight. Dendi goes down, and then at that point, Navi's like, okay, Dendi's trapped in the enemy base. We kind of want to keep our one of our main 2 carries alive, but there's no way to kind of save him without that good defensive support, and Na'Vi will also lose a tier 2 tower in the mid lane, so Ember's buyback easily paying off.
Yeah, now the question is, will they be able to punish him from here? Because he does not have a buyback available for 5.5 minutes, and should he die during that window, he will have a very long death timer. You're already looking at a level 21 Ember Spirit, so GoDz, it seems there will still be a window here where if Na'Vi can just catch out Aggressive, they might be able to convert it into that lane of racks. Now exposed, the range rack's very low.
No glyph as well, so
But if they don't kill him, then it feels pretty good for LGD.
Yeah, this 3 minutes is very much the play as safe as possible stage for LGD. An aggressive death is probably just 2 lanes of racks, and really like 2 lanes of racks is effectively like close to the game over if you're in LGD's position. They wouldn't GG out because like when you've got the late game Ember Spirit, but it gives you like a 10% chance to win the game. As it stands right now, LGD behind, but by very little.
You can see the graphs reflected. In fact, after that last exchange, LGD, they got some towers, and they knocked Na'Vi down to just a 2-tower advantage. Had quite a bit more before that. And one of those being a tier 3, and experience, not that it matters so much at this point, but is starting to tip even further their way.
Well, wasting no time. They go for another push down this mid lane. They may not have Aegis, but it's LGD who do not have buyback on Ember Spirit. So he buys a Crystallis. He needs to buy anything again. I wouldn't mind seeing him pick up like a Blink Dagger here. If he sees the push coming, he may just do that.
You got to imagine Dendi is just sitting here like, where's the Ember?
Yes.
Where's the Ember? Aggressive, I see you, and I want a piece of you.
He's staying right back. He may as well spend his money if he can buy something. Daedalus, one possibility. Blink the other, as mentioned, but doesn't have the money quite yet for a Daedalus.
So they hang on to their Necro books. The AC has been online for the Lycanthrope of Dayara.
And pings top. Ember could actually TP top and then Remnant back. It could force Na'Vi back, and it's actually going to be Na'Vi who TP top. That gets spotted, so LGD would like to try and hunt someone on the retreat, but Na'Vi have already backed off in preparation for Dendi's escape.
Yeah, Roshan checking the respawn timer. 5 minutes until he respawns. So it's going to be enough time for the buyback to cool down. They'll have another life for Aggressive, and LGD aren't going to wait for it. They smoke, and they head right now. They know Dendi's unlikely to be here. Artstyle getting jumped. That they do get the roar if it's on to Xiao 8. Pulls Artstyle up onto the high ground. He drops the Death Ward. He's alive for now. Aggressive's got to finish him off. Will do so, but Dendi hunts forward, chasing on to maybe, trying to bring him down. Dityara's there in pursuit as well. Now turning on Aggressive. The Hex already committed. Aggressive able to Manta back away. That prompts a buyback. Enchantress rejoining the fight. The teams will engage. It ends up being, or disengage, I should say, a 3-for-1. Still no buyback here for 3 minutes on Ember.
A bit of some duration left on these Necro books, so without a glyph, at least the rain tracks can go down if Na'Vi want. Just put the summons on the rain tracks, get yourself a bit of money, and walk away.
And they have the Hex again. Got to be careful. No lasso.
Oh, well, Enchant, that cheat kicks in, takes one of the Necro books, and it looks like LGD won't actually lose a single Rax off of this.
Yeah, I guess with the roar down, they're not going to be able to kill Aggressive. And he's playing like he can't die. Oh, just hold that thought, because they have jumped him. Here's the Hex, no roar. And he might actually turn this one around. Yeah. Sleight of Fist, chipping away at General quickly.
Good low ground force staff coming out from Xiao 8.
Yeah, and you can see from the way Aggressive was playing, he just did the math in his head. He's like, they can't kill me without a roar. Very confident shopping trip there from him.
I really like what I assume is going to be a Lotus Orb from Xiao 8. This is a game where vision is so key, and denying the track. When you if you're defending your high ground, you do not want to have heroes tracked up. It makes it much easier for Na'Vi to position and just initiate as well if you're tracked up. So having a Lotus Orb just to dispel that track can become very, very important.
Xiao 8 is again dewarding. They've held onto this gem for a really long time, LGD have, and now if they need to, they could even buy another, which just goes to show how effective a purchase it's been. It's really paid off and kept them in the game. Still fencing about the Roshan pit. Na'Vi unable to break LGD's spirits on their high ground just yet, but this roar could be the opening step. He already bought back once. This could be a tieback. He pops the heal, the Greaves as well. The Death Ward committed. Almost enough to get the kill, but the Force Staff saves his life. And he will survive.
That's a Death Ward too. That's a big commitment.
That's a Dityara potentially in trouble now. Dendi looking for the opening. Maybe can go on aggressive here if he's not careful. He's jumped onto Maybe, but the Death Prophet ult already going. Throws the Yules out. Dityara fairly low. BKB gonna end soon. Can they turn it? That damage from Aggressive just chewing into Na'Vi, driving them back. The Impulse brings up Dendi. 10 HP. TP's out for the high ground. Will survive, but 3 Na'Vi heroes have fallen.
Aggressive survives 2 somehow in about 50 HP.
Oh my.
They just clumped up for Aggressive.
Got the crits, got the cleave at the right time, and the damage was spectacular.
3.7k damage, and that was just, what, like 1 sleight of fist? Okay, 2 sleights of fist, and he gets 3.7k damage.
And now there is a Lotus Orb. Could also be a really good way to deal with this Hex.
Yes, absolutely.
This is being used right now on Aggressive.
Keep Aggressive alive at all costs. He can actually go in the front lines a bit more when he's got the backup of the Lotus Orb. We've seen what the Force Staffs can do as well. They've got 2 of them with Disruptor also carrying one. And as they move forward, we see Sep also kind of transitioning into like a semi-core with the Enchantress, having a Dragon Lance, likely the Aghanim Scepter to follow up, about to hit level 16. So it's not going to be all in on Aggressive. There is good cleanup potential coming in from Enchantress.
Yeah, and you know, the other really big thing about that fight, GoDz, is not just that LGD prevail in the actual engagement, but they got into the Radiant Jungle. They were able to plant down an Observer Ward. They also confirmed that Na'Vi don't really have vision there, so they can be a lot more confident in moving out, and we see that right now.
I believe Na'Vi lost, they lost their gem as well, so both gems on the Dire side as far as I know?
It's back on the Dire Courier.
Okay, on the Dire Courier, so makes life a little bit easier for LG. They have a backup gem for one thing, but more than anything, Na'Vi not going to have any wards up. They're going to have to rely on these summons to keep scouting out. This has just been impressive to how LGD have played with complete lack of map vision and just generally trying to counterplay Na'Vi's complete control of everything. They've been on the Dire side of the map the entire game.
Well, Sep, this still could be a dieback. He's down for 3 minutes as far as the timer on the buyback goes, and this time the Death Ward very close. It is enough there. gets him with the Maledict.
For like a split second, I thought it was actually going to live.
Yeah, so that's 70 seconds on the sideline for your support Enchantress. Roshan coming up during that window. As Seneko goes deep. Do they want to turn this one? MMY dropping the sentry. Oh, looking for the vision. Xiao 8 leaping forward. You can just see how hungry LGD are, like a pack of piranhas. Constantly, the second hero slightly out of position, jumping and diving for those kills, but not going to find them. So they back off, they'll reset. Roshan will be the fulcrum of the next engagement, and the big boy is back.
Now we have to be a little bit concerned. Kind of what we saw last game is Lycan as a hero does start to fall off. It's around this stage of the game. You're 42 minutes in. You haven't taken a full lane of racks. You've got just the range racks at mid, which ultimately is like maybe a quarter of a racks as far as like the full mid lane goes. And that's just not going to cut it. If you can't get something bigger with the next Roshan, I think Na'Vi, their lineup will start to fall off. The Death Prophet will get tanky enough to survive to get some good exorcism damage. Ember Spirit, when he hits that, hits the Skadi timing, is going to be a complete beast in these team fights. He doesn't even have to entirely rely on Sleight of Fist. He can actually go in and fight in much more aggressive manner as well. So Na'Vi's life only going to get more and more difficult as we move forward.
I wonder how desperate they feel it is. Boots of Travel coming out for Ditya Ra now. So items do continue to slowly accrue here.
That's just like this top lane is always like split pushing out. So having the Boots of Travel allow Na'Vi, it's some pick-off potential, but more than anything, it means they can push out the lanes with one hero and have him join up with the team when you're on the other side of the map. Something that's always important to do on the Radiant side when you're worried about your opponents, taking Roche, for example.
It's just such discipline here from LGD. Oh, hold that thought. Na'Vi smoking. Moving down into the river. They just got dewarded. LGD, but they sent their whole team to do it. September, the one in front, and they are going to engage here. Going in, aggressive, Sleight of Fist, quickly bringing General low, already committed the roar, and now the Death Ward starts to bouncing. It's a full duration Death Ward. LGD getting forced back. Xiao 8's going to drop. That's 2. It's 3. Aggressive down, and they want more. They want more, Maya. They're going to get him. 4 heroes hit the deck. Na'Vi grab the gem, the bounty, the momentum, and straight into the pit. It appears they will go. Just like that.
Every now and then, you just say, okay, we've been slow rolling this for too long. Let's take the initiative. Let's go. And this is the exact time to do it. Talked about the Lycan as a hero who's going to start kind of tapering off. Na'Vi recognizing it themselves. They smoke up, get a great jump, take the Ember Spirit out, most importantly, and he even bought back. So very precarious position now for LGD. They've got to defend their high ground with very limited buybacks and very limited tools to defend against an Aegis and Cheese on the Ditya Lycan as well as the Dendi Queen of Pain.
You've got the Hex, you have the Roar cooling down very soon, and I believe a Refresher coming out. They have 3 tools here to lock down that Ember, and should they kill Aggressive, unless they lose several in the process, GoDz, that could be the game right there. So they got through that first window where there was no buyback. He really had to scratch and claw to get his way out of the situation. Now he finds himself right back in the abyss. 6 minutes where you have to play the game on a knife's edge.
Yeah. And LGD, they actually used their spells as best they could that fight. They got the Lotus Orb off on the Ember Spirit as soon as he got Hex. He managed to get multiple Sleights of Fist off, but his team were just swarmed upon it. Aggressive alone, he needs that kind of frontlining Batrider to get a catch with the lasso. He needs the Death Prophet to tank up a lot of damage, and maybe just a little bit too squishy at this stage of the game. Really just needs that one extra item, it feels like, before he can kind of hold his ground against the damage output of the Witch Doctor ultimate, the Queen of Pain. There's just so much burst on the side of Na'Vi. Anyone getting roared, more often than not, is going down.
You mentioned damage and how he's squishy, and I just have to say, art style has been magnificent with the Death Wards this game. That is not the first time we have seen a full duration Death Ward crushing.
It feels like we're looking
hero.
at like a core Witch Doctor. Like if someone told me this Witch Doctor had been like the mid hero, I'd be like, yeah, sure. It feels believable with the impact he's had.
He is 5th in net worth, and he's very close to being, 6th in net worth, very close to being 5th. Just behind his own Beastmaster and ahead of Xiao 8 on the Batrider. And it's not like, oh, he's got a lot of net worth. He's using it incredibly well.
So much of that goes back to Ditya rotation off of the lane. He goes in the jungle very early on in like 5-6 minutes into the game, giving Artstar the lane. He gets some farm, some levels, and he gives back to his team. He helps out, becomes a core himself, and LGD now have a tough ask ahead of themselves to try and defend this bottom lane.
Well, the good news for Na'Vi is strategically taking a lane of Rex gets easier now. The mid lane's always pushing. Creeps will be up the hill. You have better vision into the base. The Hawk's able to sneak around the tree line, something they can't really do so easily mid. And LGD do have a gem here on Xiaowei, but they got to sit back as the engagement begins. Nice silence on General. Preventing any sort of roar play. He didn't even get to use it, the first one, let alone the second. And aggressive surges forward, but that's going to be it. The quick draw there from M-White. Oh, they are chasing for a bit more. They get the courier, a single ward on it. Arcstar now glimpse back, but there's the Hex. Onto aggressive. Gotta be careful. Quapo gets pocked. Another sleight of fist through. Trying to hold on for now. Jumps back. Lotus Orbo's deployed, and it's maybe in the front lines. Chewing through Arcstar. The Hallowed one is down. Can they get more? That's the question. Sneko trying to escape through the trees. Won't happen. LGD take down 3, but mid lane is pushing. They may need to send aggressive home.
LGD's lineup is so punishing of mistakes. That's the biggest thing to kind of take away from that for Na'Vi. One misplay, and you get chased down. The Batrider with his mobility, the Blink 4 stuff, Ember Spirit will chase you down. You can never give LGD an inch in a team fight. And General, the biggest play there that stopped the Roar, it was the initial Searing Chains, actually. He got the Sleight of Fist Searing Chains on General as he blinked in, canceling the Roar animation, and then the Disruptor follows it up with the Silence after the Lasso, and General taken out of the start of the fight. He is the kind of crucial glue that keeps this Na'Vi squad together when they're pushing. It's the threat of the Roar that has to be there to deal with the Ember Spirit, and if he's dead, Ember just goes balls deep, attacks Na'Vi, and there's nothing Na'Vi can do to deal with him.
Yeah, and that was a fight where Lycan was directly next to him at one point. So if it happens again, Ditya will have an Abyssal Blade. Ooh. And Ember did go Scotty. It was not a Lincoln Sphere. So another spell to lock him down.
I mean, it's tankiness, it's armor. So the stats from this function kind of similarly to the Lincoln Sphere as far as like giving him a good amount of survivability. And he's relying on his team with the 4 Staffs and the Lotus Orb. Second fight in a row. We've seen Xiaowei very quick with the Lotus Orb to dispel off the Dendi Hex, and that's going to be something Na'Vi take into consideration. They're going to be looking at this like, okay, twice the Hex has been counterplayed. Someone needs to perhaps control Xiaowei or force his Lotus Orb out before we actually go in the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, really tough to get the Batrider when he sits so far back over the tree line. The Hawk's been constantly dealt with the gem.
It's the Bat that's actually the hardest hero to push against, more so than the Ember Spirit. It's not. You're not so worried about your creep wave dying. Your heroes can push fine alone. If you're worried about that hero getting dragged deep into the LGD base away from the rest of the team, that's the scariest thing for Na'Vi when they go for a push.
Aegis has been reclaimed now. So Ditya checking out buybacks. For the side of Na'Vi, they don't have many, just a Queen of Pain buyback. Do they try to push in? There are 4 for LGD, and Embers is coming up. This is going to be a long window heading towards the next Roshan, where the extra life advantage is firmly on the side of LGD.
I imagine Na'Vi, with the TP top from aggressive, will be forced to at least kind of get back to work on just maintaining the creep equilibrium, get some map control going once more, but they're also going to be recognizing that Ditya as Lycan, again, this hero, you don't want to rely on him in a 60-plus minute game, so they want to try and take a second lane of Rax as soon as possible.
They are going to force it. Low on buybacks here. Na'Vi are committing a lot. Lycan pretty close as far as the gold goes. The rest of the heroes not particularly likely to get that gold unless a lot of LGD heroes hit the deck. And they have second thoughts for now. The top lane continues to push. Aggressive. Just waiting for those boots of travel to cool down so he can probably continue the slow chipping top lane.
He may go back top. He does have one. Oh, he has got a Remnant at the fountain, so very limited. Doesn't have any follow-up Remnants.
And for now, sticking around. And Na'Vi are going to move forward again. Track on the Sep.
Stolen Hawk. That's actually very, well, was handy until it got chopped down by General.
Handy for like 3 seconds.
Figure out what Na'Vi's doing, but LGD Vision limited to 1 ward in their own jungle, which isn't really giving them anything at this moment. We're not seeing Ember go top lane, but I feel that's largely because he's limited on Remnants. He wants to make sure he always has a defensive Remnant for the team fight back around his fountain area. So if he TP's top, he has to commit a Remnant to get back, and then he's got to use another Remnant, perhaps to pop in the fountain, and he's going to be somewhat limited in his mobility and just how many kind of live, quote-unquote lives he gets in a team fight to go in, Remnant away, then go in again, have another Remnant out. So he's just playing this very conservatively.
It really feels like there's a strong sense of history here as we look at Na'Vi versus LGD. This was an iconic matchup at the International 2 with LGD undefeated throughout the entire group stage and all the way into the winner bracket finals until they ended up dropping a match to Na'Vi and then eventually getting eliminated in the lower bracket.
And that was another Zhao Wei-led LGD squad, and a squad known for its discipline, its patience.
And also for its high ground defense, which is precisely the position we find ourselves in now as we hit 52
They were the late game
minutes.
kings. It took an aggressive Na'Vi squad and then an IG squad to take them down a notch, but they were the late game kings back then. Zhao Wei looking to do that once more against Na'Vi, although actually, well, he got beaten by Na'Vi back then. He's looking for some revenge, perhaps.
Can Na'Vi reclaim that former glory? That is really the long question.
Well, it's funny. There was initially this narrative of like, are we going to get this Na'Vi versus Alliance? This is a return of El Clasico here at Starlight. Then it didn't happen. Then it became, oh, it's not 2013, it's 2012 with Na'Vi versus China. Na'Vi's hoping it's 2011 with Artstyle carrying the team to victory in TI1, you know. It's a matter of how far back are we going to go in this little time machine, LD?
Well, which dynasty prevails? We've got a lot of time to mull it over because Na'Vi, they don't want to meet history just yet. They want that next Roshan. Still a long ways off. It is a maximum respawn timer, 11 minutes in total. But it will be potentially a decisive one. And it is worth mentioning, GoDz, as the game has slowed, some of the recent item pickups here. We've got a Blink Dagger on the Lycan, perhaps more importantly, a refresher on Dendi. So, well, you've got a Lotus Orb, sure, on Xiao 8, but there is now a Blink Abyssal, a double Hex, as well as a double Roar. That is 5 spells that you're looking to cancel and potentially save a hero with. Not going to be easy.
It's quickly becoming reminiscent of that opening game between LGD and Vega, where the number of lives Aggressive can have in a team fight can decide the outcome. If he has an Aegis, has 2 lives, it's huge. If he has a buyback, that's going to be essential. If he has only 1 life in a team fight, it could be very problematic. And there we go. You talk about item pickups here in the late game. Everybody's favorite, an Ember with a Divine Rapier.
You know, one thing has changed since TI2, and that is the number of Divine Rapiers we see. Not so much in this patch because not too many games have gone late, but there's been a real shift with players' willingness to pick this item up, and I think a lot of it is just due to the proliferation of Ember Spirit picks more than anything. It used to be Gyrocopter, but the heroes that can really take advantage of the Rapier.
Immediately smoke up too.
Here we go. Soneko out in front, he's going to reveal the smoke, and Xiao Wei makes his move, he goes for the lasso, but he does get Hex, then Roared as well. That means Lotus Orb out of the picture. Can they focus down the cores through this fight? On the backlines is aggressive, he's been Abyssal, the Roar's followed up, they've located the Ember, Rapier down! Na'Vi have slain the Fire Spirit, maybe could be next. He's also going to fall with the Ember buyback. Aggressive marches out to the
Did
pit,
they see
but it
the
may
Rapier?
be too late.
Do they know about the Rapier? I don't know if they saw it.
The sword and the stones, Na'Vi don't care about it, I guess.
Yeah.
He didn't really get to hit much in that fight.
No, not at all. They initiated on Zhao Wei. Zhao Wei had to use the Lotus Orb, and all the Force Staffs got thrown on Zhao Wei to save his life. Batrider somehow didn't die through it all, but the end result was there was nothing to protect the Ember Spirit of Aggressive, and that just led to utter disaster. If he could only find this Rapier.
They hit pretty hard. Did you see that Ember drop? You'd like to have the Rapier, but they're not lacking by any stretch for physical damage.
If somehow LGD piece together, like they get vision of all the heroes, see that no one's holding the Rapier, they may figure out that it's still on the ground, but so far no vision caught it. But Na'Vi likely to retreat over it though, so they may catch wind of the fact that it's there.
It's still there. The crowd just noticed.
Oh yeah.
Na'Vi haven't, but
Na'Vi, don't take our energy, take our insight, read our minds.
Who's about to find it? It's
Dendi?
gonna be the man, the myth, the legend.
Someone,
Hot,
teacher
getting hotter, getting hotter. What's that? It's a Rapier.
Drop your treads, Dendi, drop your treads. Who's getting it?
I honestly don't think Lycan needs any more damage. But
they're gonna leave it there.
By golly, he's got it.
No boots to travel for Dichara. He wants the Rapier. Well,
he found it, and I think far more importantly, there is no buyback on Aggressive.
Yes, he insta buys back in that last fight. Didn't have a Remnant down as well. I think it was a lost fight regardless, and LGD are going to have their high ground prowess truly tested now against the Na'Vi squad, who has all the tools ready to break through the LGD defense. All of a sudden, what's been an even game pretty much up until now is a 20k net worth disadvantage because of that Rapier swing more than anything. That's just like, a Rapier swing is like a, what? 12K gold swing in itself. So
yeah, roughly about. And it basically tripled their advantage, which was essentially nothing for this stage of the game. But it's now fairly significant. This rapier could change hands more than once, though. But in order to steal it, they got to kill the wolf twice.
yeah.
He is running into slot problems now, though. You can see a Necro Book, a Blink Dagger in the stash.
That Blink Dagger is one of the probably most, it's the most cost-effective item he had in his inventory up until this point, but ultimately he's deciding he wants to have those big late game items over it. Likely can replace the Aegis with it once that gets consumed, but having that bit of mobility to get the jump on someone like the Death Prophet or the Ember Spirit makes a big, big difference.
You know, I almost wonder if having the Blink is better than Boots. That Blink Abyssal play, we saw like an Abyssal into a Roar. You can't count on running into Ember. He's going to be sitting back, so perhaps that initiation range is something he'll rethink. But for now, Na'Vi smoking, moving towards the bottom lane. 58 minutes in. They have struggled mightily to fully break through the LGD defense. But one slip up from the young gun aggressive, and that could be all she wrote. As Ditya starts moving in, one swipe, the tower's down, and now Ditya morphing, coming in hot and heavy, on to maybe, up into the air he goes, Sep will be the victim, now the Ghost Scepter, or rather the Ethereal Blade maybe, backing off, Ember's back to the well, but racks are melting, Na'Vi chewing through them, Xiaowei with the blink forward, but Ditya turns, and in a matter of seconds, he too is down, aggressive next, hexed up, no escape, looks like he's down as well, that's gonna be every core hero deleted, and with that, Na'Vi take game one, the magic is back.
LGD, they held on for a long, long time, but ultimately Na'Vi, the ones in the driver's seat, the one with the map control, the vision from all the different summons, the Wolves, the Hawk, they prevail. Complete, utter Roche control and aggressive, he couldn't do it all. Na'Vi take game one, LD.
That Lycan took about 4 seconds to kill their entire team, all the buildings, a tense back and forth game, late game Dota, hard to play perfectly, but there's got to be at least 30 things that could have gone differently that would have allowed LGD to win this, or for Na'Vi to have an easy go. They chose the hard way. They made it interesting for the viewers, but they took the win in the end.
It's just so, the thing that's most impressed me about Na'Vi is like, I feel like every single player in this Na'Vi squad offered a huge amount. And that's what you've got to do to beat a team like LG. You can't have one player off this game. Artstar with his Death Wards doing huge amounts of damage. Saniko always getting the track vision, the scouting information. You've got Queen of Pain. Like, we're not even talking about like Dendy's impact when he had Refresher, Hex, double ultimate in these fights towards the end. He finishes 9-3 and 20. Everyone on the Na'Vi side was dishing out huge amounts of damage, control. There was no one player that, I feel like if any of these one players have an off game, Na'Vi lose this game, LGD turn it around. But everyone did their job.
It felt like as the game got late, they just had so much lockdown that aggressive, once buyback was used, he couldn't play his game anymore. Like, even before it got used, he'd one disable. If the Batrider's not there with the Lotus Orb, he's dead and the fight's over. Well, so it got tough late. He had to play picture perfect. He couldn't quite do it, GoDz, and Na'Vi are one win away from their first grand finals here at StarLadder in a very long time.
Potentially their first championship in a long time as well. That would be absolutely incredible for this team. They've gone through a lot of struggles, but this is as good as it's been for a long time.
Well, these players have more trophies than quite a few, at least the longtime veterans, Dendy especially does. But Na'Vi, they haven't won it yet. LGD, they'll look to strike back. It's a best of 3. Game 2 is coming up next. Stick around. You're watching the StarLadder Invitational.
E-Gaming Bet.